Yeah. Who's gonna monitor this time? John's staring right at it. He's volunteered. He's poised. He's at the ready. Dear Internet, we're
good.
Live. And we're back. It's been a long time. This is the original Myth Brigade crew. All right. So I'm going to ask for a volunteer because in terms of narrative, we didn't move much last time, although you guys moved an awful lot on the Festering Mound. Who wants to tell everyone what their characters just experienced a minute ago? Don't everyone line up there.
I'm not prepared. Please hold while I pull this up.
It's like,
yeah, I remember there was a lot of pus, things like that. Yeah, so let's see. We got to the Festering Mound. The obelisk we discovered appears to be warp stone, essentially a physical manifestation of chaos. Everybody automatically feels uncomfortable around it. Clearly, unnatural, does not belong here. We did find a shaft on the back of it with a hole leading down. We continue to hear this bell kind of toning all around us, if you will. The two corpses may have been similar to the woman we had happened upon. We believe that was the prior session with the little mini things and shovel chaos that had ensued there. And we believe there was a party that was kind of chased off slash, murdered mercilessly. And yeah, clearly they were cut down in their retreat. We drop a stone down the shaft. It doesn't appear to be too far down, but then we hear a sound return.
And there was a battle.
Like,
there was also, the whole battle and stuff like that.
No,
but...
so yeah. So
Somewhere in
Grimwald, tell us about that battle, man. What was that like, Mr. I don't give a shit? I'm gonna go and kill some stuff. How'd that work?
We came upon the hill and two large, grotesque pus monsters came out and attacked us, and we defended ourselves. I think we came out mostly okay.
I'd say pretty well, considering they were like 6.5 feet tall and had mouths in their abdomens and things like that.
Mouths where there should not be mouths.
Well, they would disagree with you there, but that's fine.
They're also chanting Nurgle.
They were
out of said mouths. So
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a thing.
Get a real gibbering mouther impression on them. Just like the...
So you managed to rout these creatures on this hill, and of course, at the beginning, you had a conversation with this woman, right, who was dying, and there were some. Did you pick up some things from her? I thought you did. Some items or something.
Grimwald?
Yeah, I think somebody did.
Yeah. No, you guys as a whole. The continuity police will know.
We
know.
Picked up a dagger with a sheath, belt in her purse. See, the last words that she uttered were, "It was a lie. He lied." The seal. She passed.
This is important. So, as we rejoin our characters on the top of this hill, which at this moment the stream map is like off to the side of the hill, like there's a picnic going on elsewhere. So let me move it. Hang on. All right, that's a little better. So we rejoin the companions and venting again from this hill where the holes are indicated are these very slow flowing but nonetheless constantly flowing vents for infection, like you would expect to see draining from a sword wound that had gone unattended for all too long. You're there at the top by the obelisk, and the corpses of these creatures, as you watch, moments after routing them, begin to dissolve, like they're losing their grip on this place. And there's this sense that Sigmar is almost, for those of you who, well, you know, the halfling is, you know, he's like a Seventh-day Adventist or something. But the rest of you, you feel this sense of purpose emerging as you watch them lose their grip on this place. But there's this lurking sense that suggests that something about their passing has awakened something much darker and now bent on your destruction beneath your feet. What do? You guys are there in the cool of the sort of evening on the hill, the dome above you. It's hard to tell really day from night at this point from all the crap that's gathering up there. You've dropped your rock at the bottom. Oswald, what do you say?
I was saying, I for one have not been the one to rush headlong into battle, as everyone I think knows here. But this is more of kind of a steadying breath for me that, okay, this appears to be the end. We are in the end game, if you will, and we need to steady ourselves and we need to go forward with it. There's really no turning back now. There's no point to turn back. There's nothing.
Place to go.
Yeah, we can only go forward, which in this case is down the terrifying, creepy mine shaft.
Past the warp stones.
So I look through my bag and start to rummage around looking for rope.
Do you have it? Do you have the proverbial D&D allotment of 20 feet of hemp rope?
Yes. No, I don't actually.
Good. I was hoping you would.
I have a shovel though.
So
dig our way down.
The shaft, there's really at the angle it's at, and with the way that this obelisk sits, there's not a lot of light shining down there. So when you drop this rock, it's clear that it doesn't drop to the point where you'd be falling forever, but it's down there a bit. And the other thing is it's completely dark. Because, you know, it's under the earth and stuff. Dark down there. What do you do?
Well, I'm going to get my tinderbox out and light. If anybody has spare torches, well, I think we should probably use those. Drop one down for at least to see what we're getting into, and if we have rope, can we? I don't know enough about warpstone. Can we tie that to the warpstone and anchor it, or is that something we don't trust?
So, what you guys would generally know about warpstone? Think of think of it as like this mythological metal, right? Like mithril or something. To us, right? It's recognized as being imbued with evil from a lot of perspectives. It can corrupt you. It can harm you. So, but it's also, if used wisely, for those of you who are into that sort of magic thing, which I don't think any of you really are, it could be used to facilitate those ends. The point is that it's a monument, right? So it's not going anywhere. It's like a gravestone. It's fixed in the ground. It's heavy, you know. You might be able to break it up into pieces. You don't know.
Does it seem to produce any sort of like natural lighting, or?
It radiates energy, right? And for an engineer in these times, you're thinking things like catapults and, you know, more physical devices. But there's something about this that is clearly generating some kind of energy. But no, it's not graying. It's not glowing bright green or anything of that nature. In this light, anyway.
Well, I think Oswald is still kind of running off that high, because the moments before this, there is a sort of flashback to Oswald running out there by himself. I believe there was a moment where he was out there by himself for a good minute against two of them.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be looking around for maybe clothes or any type of bag that he can like throw together to create sort of like a belaying ladder that we could lower ourselves down on.
Okay. So you know there's some corpses around the hill. There's a corpse way back, by the pusslings, as it were, to create kind of that rope ladder situation or a rope. What are the rest of you guys doing? So Oswald's looking around for resources. What are the rest of you guys doing?
I'll help him out. Help him gather stuff.
Pretty sure we had rope and torches and lanterns and the shovels from that wagon we found.
Ooh, the lantern's a good idea. So if we can light that and lower it down, there are less chances of that actually going out.
Yeah.
We can actually get a gauge on how far down we need to make this ladder.
So almost as Grimwald stands off to the side and the rest of you are like, oh, what are we going to do? And he's got the rope with him. He has this,
everything.
Right. Okay, so you're probably right. I'm going to trust the continuity police that is James, because it's been a while. But yeah, so you have your rope and your lantern.
It'd just be a short trek down to the wagon.
You're going to go fetch resources and come back, right? Those, I thought you took some, though. I think you did.
We took the
I think
stuff.
that's right.
Did we bring them with us?
Yeah, there was a
we
sort
had
of
no
general.
wagon. We
yeah.
were footpathing it up here.
That's right. We left the wagon. I forgot that. We didn't have any way to pull it.
So with your oil lantern, you lower it. Let's assume you light your necessary fire and create your light source, and you lower it down the shaft. Who does that?
I'll do it.
And Geshwin, are you right there kind of looking over his shoulder? Are you standing back and waiting for him to report back or explode or whatever he does?
I'm pretty close looking over. I'm trying to be as brave as I can, as much as I want to probably run away and not do this at the moment.
Nice.
Trying to show some courage and faith in the group.
Yeah.
See how that turns out.
Give me a cool check. See how that works out for you. See how you just out of curiosity.
Not gonna work out.
So Grimwald, you lower this down, and because you're not afraid. Oh my god! so
Oh no!
ladies and
I'm
gentlemen,
gonna just
of
go
the
get some supplies too, and I'll totally be right back.
Never seen again.
I would have accepted even a reasonable failure of okay, you're going to stand here. So how no
Hey, do you
leave?
wait? Doesn't Geshwin have the flip?
I don't know. Did you give it to him? Who I think that's actually a good point. We should be doing that every time. It's so this is the free reversal that the player who won the free reversal this session before gets to give to the person that they believe deserves it.
And yes, I gave it to Geshwin for his defining moment.
Okay. Are you going to use that here? I just ask. It's up to you. You going to use that here? Chat, what do you think? Should I use it here?
Well, I mean, it is literally the thing that makes you pass, so I don't know.
This is the better content.
Yeah. Now, I think the failure really speaks to my actual character.
Well done.
But I am definitely making sure I note that I have that reversal.
Well, so you struggle, Geshwin, there for a couple of seconds, and as you watch the flame descend this shaft, the first thing that you notice about the shaft is that it, in fact, the walls of it, the edges of it, also seem to be made from this substance. And then there's something that just sort of grabs onto you, and just somewhere deep inside of you, you feel a fear, and it's irrational when you just kind of find yourself backing up as you don't want to see what's at the bottom. Of course, Grimwald, lowering the rope. You go down a shaft probably about 15 feet. And then another, from your perspective, you think 10 to 12 of an more open area. the light is more diffuse and more spread. Who all's standing around? You guys all, except for Geshwin. Geshwin's like hauling, stepping back, and the rest of you guys gathering in.
I'm kind of standing back. I don't imagine we could all.
I think Oswald's either at the edge, like helping guide the rope, whoever's descending, or is like coming down second after them. I don't think he gives it a second thought, especially because he's running off that high of that last fight of him either getting a triumph or something on his cool. I forget what I did, or not a triumph, but a
critical success
or something.
Yeah.
I think he's just kind of coasting off that high and is doing whatever he can to help. Maybe he's got his axe head in the ground and he's like lowering it down.
So
if we've reached that point.
So Grimwald gets to the point where the lantern stops, and it's literally just kind of going down and down and down. Again, the light spreads out. It's no longer reflecting off of the shaft, so it's clearly in a room. You drop it down, and then the rope goes slack, and it kind of teeters, but you manage to keep the thing standing up straight. What's troubling, though, is the dance of the flame and the shadows that it casts around that lantern sitting on that stone floor. You can tell, in fact, that the stone of the floor is definitely not that weird sort of polished marble look that you get out of this warp stone. That black, crazy, green-veined stone. It's a more traditional stone, but it's down there quite a ways. You're going to have to climb. Or jump.
I'll secure the rope up here.
You give it a tie off. So being a servant and tending the horses, you watch as Grimwald expertly ties off a rope.
Twice.
Okay, third time you get a free critical success. It's been a long time in my world. I thought we were playing last week. It was wishful thinking. So ready. You create what you believe to be a fairly solid knot there. I think probably Oswald agrees. Who goes first?
Doing all right, Geshwin?
Basically hyperventilating into my sack at this point, and I'm just like, can we just knock over the thing? Would that work? If we knock over the obelisk, would that be effective?
I really honestly have no idea what will fix what we're doing here.
Oswald just looks at you and says, "No, we will not be knocking it over. We need to descend now. Deal with this. We need to get the urns underneath there and return them to their proper place."
What's Bartleby doing?
Bartleby's getting ready to go down.
He's
picked up this shield off the ground and he straps it to his arm.
Let's not forget Bartleby also has chain, so he's definitely going first.
Yeah.
So you're gonna send him down first?
Good point.
Yep.
So Bartleby, you start to climb down the rope. Is that what you do?
Yes.
We can distribute some torches to light on the lamp down there. Carry around too.
You give Bartleby a torch to climb. So carrying a lit torch, of course, is going to make it climbing a rope a little hard.
To light it at the bottom on the lantern, I said.
Oh, sorry, I missed that part. So do you put said torch in your prison pocket and you start to climb down? If we have one session where that term does not come up, it's not okay. So Bartleby, let's have a climb roll. So this is actually going to be with the benefit of the rope and the shaft to brace yourself against. It's going to be easy. So you're going to get a plus 20.
It's 20.
But there's a different roll that I need you to make after that.
Oof.
Nice.
There we go.
Why is this familiar? Why is climbing rope familiar to Bartleby? Why is this something that he's okay with?
At this point, Bartleby is just sort of like soldiering on through this, so it's just another thing to do to him. And granted, Bartleby was a porter, so he's been, he's familiar with boats and rigging and all of that stuff that you need to do to get things out of the hold, like a deck crane, things like that.
So you step down and you kind of grin and bear it, and you're going down and down your back. You feel this smooth stone behind you, and there's like this very subtle but rapid vibration that you feel through your skin as you're going down. It starts to make you feel kind of ill inside, which is why you're going to make a no modifier, but a endurance test as you cuddle to the warp stone. Nice. So Nana's words come back to you of, don't suffer any evil, son. As you climb down, you reach a point though where the shaft ends and your feet hang loose, right? It's getting a little bit harder, and you kind of clear the ceiling, and another 10 or so feet. You can see the light of the lantern, which casts weird shadows flicking against the sort of ruddy colored stone walls. But you do land safely, and you have a torch. What do you do?
All right, so Bartleby will look around in the in the flickering light before grabbing the torch from his prison wallet and lighting it up with the lantern.
Looking around, give me a perception roll.
All right. There it is.
Whoa.
Jeez.
Okay, so the secrets of the universe are clear to you, but also see, you land in something about first of all the sort of echo of your footsteps hitting the stone, and it kind of gives you your general bearings. You're in a room, and I need to move the halfling off here. Actually, if you promise to pretend that the halfling is not on the map, it would save me time to not do that. So let me move this over for you guys. So the first thing that your perception roll grants you as you sort of come to the ground is it's clear from the debris that your feet come down and sort of crunch into these sort of bits of stone from above, obviously, as you're sort of looking at the stone. Little small pieces of warp stone. A little tempting, maybe. It's clear that maybe something was smashed in from above. Looking around the room, you notice that the lantern is not the only source of light. There are two very small points of light against the wall, sort of in the southern part of your view there. They're very constant, although they undulate. They sort of intensify and then recede, not like a flame, but like some... Yes, exactly right. What do you do? So as you land in this room?
So Bartleby will reach down and light the torch off of the lantern and yell up.
Whoosh.
Seems empty down here, but make haste. And then he'll take a couple of steps forward just to make room for someone else to come down.
I think Oswald will head down.
Give me that climb roll, Oswald. Plus 20 for you as well.
Yep. And then Bartleby will just ready with the torch and the shield, just kind of keeping guard.
You start to hear the movement from above, right? As he starts to climb down this ladder. Your voice still kind of echoing, oh, nice. Barely, but still critical. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. Oswald, why is this so familiar to you, man? Like, what's your rope situation? Like, you almost literally slide right down and land, just poof, at the bottom.
Yeah, so this is maybe harkens back to Oswald's childhood. I wrote in his bio that he was a bit of a adventurous, sort of noble adjacent child. And his background, specifically the Great Bridge of Ubersreich, one of the greatest engineering feats in all of the Empire, is like this huge bridge that spans the entire river there. And one of his things is that he would climb up it and up the guidelines and stuff like that. So I think it really kind of, maybe it's just one of those things where maybe in his life he had cut a rope once and just descended up or rose up a bit, and he's just used to that as an urban kid, like being able to assail territory, and it's just his sheer strength, and maybe again it's that adrenaline pumping through use this system of like, I will not fall, I will not fail. That self-determination in his head of like, I can't accept that I won't fail because I can't accept failure.
Fantastic.
I know what this is, and it's just like, maybe it's a bit even like showman-y kind of when he like lands.
Well, let's see first though.
Hero landing.
Rivers, before you do that, because we just need one thing, make your challenging no modifier endurance test as you climb down past all the warpstone. Like rub your arse on the warpstone.
Does the critical effect do anything?
No. The slide down effect is yes, but
Gotcha.
it's not going to help you with the warpstone.
Gotcha. Just checking.
This makes me so sad. Okay, fine. No,
Right.
you just you slide down and actually, the way you hold your body so kind of close, like you're just sort of sliding down and like you described, you land with a flourish. Bart will be noticing this, of course, and he may have seen this from you in the past, like your comfort with heights and stuff.
Especially with our relationship, I think Bartleby has probably seen Oswald deal with a ship before, in a way that like a skilled sailor might handle ropery on aboard a ship, whether by just his exposure to it or just some natural proclivity. It's almost like he's a fish in water when it comes to just using ropes to his will, really.
Yeah.
And
Who's next?
Makes him feel.
Who's next? So you see this. I mean, that's like you're looking down, and Oswald's just like shoom, into the dark.
I'm gonna just be like, kind of casually looking around, like hoping somebody volunteers first.
I'm going.
And Grimwald, so how does this play out for you? So there's a failure there. And I'm going to say it's not a catastrophic one, but I would love for you to describe what everyone sees. The camera follows you down into the hole, and about a couple moves in, what happens?
A loose grip and ends up sliding a little too far and too fast and getting a hell of a burn on his palms.
Yes, you guys, though, you just kind of came down like old pros, and you're standing there sort of admiring each other's moves, and you hear from above this, and then, you sort of land with a thud. You're okay, but you're jarred, and your hands are just burning like hell. This is the first time in probably hours that you guys have seen Grimwald not be at his best, right? Sort of. Who's next?
I'll go next.
Make eye contact with Corbin.
You will him down the hole.
A tense couple minutes being the only one at the top of the hole.
What's the modifier? 20?
The climb roll is plus 20. It's easy. But you also, Grimwald, I'm going to say your fortune is you didn't make contact with the warpstone because you kind of slid down fast. But so if you succeed in your climb, I need an endurance check. No modifier.
Okay.
So Corbin, the funny thing is for you, the shaft is a lot more spacious, right? Because you're a little guy, and you're in there with your stubby little hands. And what does the camera see of you? Kind of going. How does that play out?
Well, Corbin is not do a lot of climbing, so I think he is taking his time and going very slow.
Okay.
And that probably contributes to his success, that he is not rushing things.
Fair enough. So you're going slow and you're being very deliberate and careful, which is going to give you a fantastic -10 penalty on your endurance check because you're going so slow that you are just wallowing all over this warpstone. Ah, nice.
Last 10.
So you are actually going to gain 1 corruption point. I don't know that some of you guys got corruption last time around as well, I believe, right? Is that true? Okay.
Corbin have any resistance to chaos or something?
Yes, I think he does.
Tell us about that.
Let me see. Oops. I can give it to you right there.
So you, as you're climbing down this shaft, Corbin, you're kind of taking your time. You start to feel very tense and very surrounded and very closed in, and you can almost hear this sort of whispers, these sort of the undulating whispers of in a language that you don't understand. It starts to make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. You grit your teeth, and ultimately you kind of find yourself hanging and then drop, nearly landing on Grimwald, who's kind of getting up and getting his stuff together. But it leaves you looking back up the shaft like, what the fuck was that? But you do avoid any corruption. I was hoping to have a halfling with a tentacle in the group, but we'll wait till next time. Guess when you're there, you see your halfling buddy disappear.
I would like to not have tentacles.
You're up there by yourself, and you can sort of hear the sort of bubbles bursting and these weird little streams of pus leaving this thing that you're climbing down into, but you're alone up here. What do you do?
I think the entire time I've been terrified to go down there, but now seeing that everyone is down there, including Corbin, who went down without even hesitation, has made me more terrified to be up here as I'm kind of looking around being like, oh wait, those bodies came out of the ground and they dissolved back into the ground. Okay, I should probably do this. I definitely checked the rope and just,
Give it a tug.
Be extra cautious, kind of procrastinating a little bit still. And then I roll. I climb. It's plus 20.
It is. So the narrow shaft and the well-affixed rope, particularly once you've tested it and you're comfortable with it, and following what you saw of your comrades climbing downward, you make your way into the shaft. Give me that endurance check, please. No modifier. Wow.
Oh, nice.
So as you're climbing down, you hear, in a whisper, like literally like something's on your shoulder. You're climbing down, you're taking your time, being careful, and you hear, "It seems empty down here, guys. Come on down. It seems empty down here, guys. Come on down." Like this weird echo of what you heard Bartleby say now probably about 10 minutes ago. And it just doesn't stop as you're climbing, and you look down, and it's that dim light of the lantern is just not enough. You feel terrified. But you also don't grow a tentacle out of your butt. And you drop to the ground as well. You're looking around in this room. Again, just to kind of reiterate where you are. So the pillars in this room, under the dim light, so you've got Bartleby, who has a torch that he's lit. And as he shifts around, right, his torchlight kind of shines on these pillars. There's a very dim light emanating from these sconces on the wall. But as I described before, it's not fire. It's this very strange and very faint light. Give me a perception roll. And actually, I'm going to say Bartleby.
What color is the lights that are breathing? Is it like a flame-colored light, or is it?
It is. It's an amber light. Yes.
Okay. All right. Perception. Any modifier?
No. So as you look around, something about the writing that you see on these, Bartleby, as you're kind of aiming your torchlight around and whatnot, it's not familiar. You're not necessarily literate, right? But it doesn't look like the characters that you see around town. It's old. What do the rest of you guys do as you kind of land, and you're operating on either Bartleby's sort of shifting firelight or the sconces on the wall?
I'm going to grab a torch and then light it as well. So if we still have the extra torches.
Yep. How many? I don't remember a count. How many did you bring? I think it was maybe one for each
all
of you.
The torches.
Do you remember? All of the torches.
Oswald has one that's been partially lit before, but I assume liberal application of some sort of
like 4.
Yeah.
And let's assume
I know
that you've
all of
got
us have one in our trappings, so all of us should have had one.
And also your lantern, which you have. So
Yeah, my lantern got smashed, but we got
It sure did. But it was a well played smash.
Yeah.
So you light your lights enough that you can sort of see this room. And the crazy thing is, along the walls, it's sort of this almost like a sort of a deep amber color stone. But it's clear that it's been whitewashed in places, sort of about up to sort of standard roof height, right? And there's this sort of awfully painted, and it almost hurts your eyes to look at it, these horrific pictorials of these kind of horned stick figures, right? That are clearly menacing these not horned stick figures. It's sort of like that. Very primitive artwork that's here. There's a open hallway that leads sort of to the south, and you can see 2 pillars in that direction as well. Something about that direction is foreboding. It's dark there, and it's almost like the dark fights back against the light of the flame. What do you guys do? You're in the room. It's quite a climb up.
And there's nowhere else to go.
We're heading that direction cautiously.
Bartleby will lead the way with the shield and the torch.
Everyone keep together. Can't get lost or turned around.
So Bartleby, you move toward the south, and just as you step into the door, you sort of can hear in the distance, it's almost kind of reverberating off of the stone, this very strange and timed with the undulating of the light, like this sound. It's deeper and larger than a person or a creature, but something's breathing down there. Probably not a dragon either, Chad. Despite John's pictorial. What do you do?
So hearing this and seeing that it's corresponding with the breathing lights, Bartleby will step actually out of the main pathway here and just investigate one of the lights to see what he can see from it. Is it coming from like a hole in the wall? Is it something that's set into the wall? Or
give me a perception roll. Let's see all the things you see.
Doesn't look like anything to me.
You lean in, Bartleby, and it's strange. You're looking for a spot in the wall. You're looking to sort out the science, like the sensible answer to why this light's here. But it's literally a mote of light that's suspended sort of somehow inside the sconce. And the closer you get to it, the harder it is to look at. It's almost like looking at an eclipse. It starts to hurt your eyes, and you kind of have to look away.
Okay. Bartleby will step back away from that.
It's like Nana would be real mad at me for being down here right now. So you guys see kind of Bartleby look in.
Sorry.
Nope, you see Bartleby look in, and what do you do?
There is some sort of language on the wall here, is it not?
It is.
So like maybe I catch a glimpse of it through like the shadows that dance throughout the room. Oswald's gonna go up and to just something like random like over here and just start reading, like trying to decipher what it is. I have classical, I have Gilder, I have Wastelander, I have Reichspiel, obviously, and then that's it. So I mean I have the old language that I know, like higher old, I forget what it's called, but it's
it Gothic?
It's under classic. Yeah, it's classic. It's like the classic version.
So the first thing that you notice, Oswald, is it's clearly there's obviously a pattern. The area that you're looking at in particular, it's not sort of a left to right kind of line sort of pattern. It's this kind of swirling, sort of almost like this weaving of these characters. It's none of those languages. It's not familiar to you whatsoever. But the closer you get to it and the more closely you study it, it's almost as if the language or the characters start to shift. Like you're tracing your finger and you're looking for a character that's familiar. And right there under your finger, one of the letters just sort of turns and moves to the right.
Do these letters look familiar, like what I had seen before in that book that I have, like, in my bag?
The book with crushed flowers?
Yeah, what about the bag of, like, shards and dust of urns and stuff that I have with me. Can I pull one out and see if it's like similar symbols or?
Yes. So you guys watch as Oswald kind of looks and he draws back his hand, right? You pull out this book and you look. And if you remember, the entries in the book got somehow more corrupt, right? It was like devolving in some way. So toward the back, when things got more chaotic, pun fully intended, yes, there are a few here and there that match, but not like a dead on, like, oh, this sentence matches that sentence, but there are similar characters. Yes, it's the same language.
Oswald just nods his head and like closes the book with like a shudder because he knows what, like, there's something odd about this book, obviously. And he maybe looks at it and says, "It is definitely the right place. This book has something to do with this language. I don't know what it is. We should press on. Can't stay here forever."
So you're reading the wall. What are the rest of you guys doing? So you're checking out the crazy shit written on the wall, and you see him open this book, and kind of over his shoulder, you see him like make the match. Blurry again.
I probably am going to be moving forward towards hopefully not our inevitable doom. Do we see lights further down? Like, is this next section
No.
darker than the current?
Yes. So if you look down in the hallway, essentially, I'm going to show the stream. They won't necessarily be able to see. So if you're looking ahead, you can see these pillars, and roughly equally, sort of about 10 feet apart. Right? There are 6 of them in twos, and they cast weird shadows. So as you shine your torchlight ahead of you, basically, the shadows that are created by that light just kind of dance everywhere, make it hard to make out any details about what's immediately on the other side of those pillars. And there's this very strained light at the end of the hallway on the other side of those pillars, which I'm assuming you guys can see on your map, right? So you can see the light there, but it's incredibly dim, and there's an awful lot of darkness in between you and there.
Going to file in behind Bartleby.
Yeah, I think we just need to
Stick to his back.
be careful and slow and watch our backs, but we have to
I'm
see
looking
this
to
through.
Bartleby and just keeping pace with him.
Echoing as if hit by a hammer, right? Loud, because it's so quiet in here, is the dull sound of an iron bell. Clunk, like a almost like a cowbell, but not in the Christopher Walken awesome cowbell kind of way. But why is there a cowbell? Why is there a cowbell? You hear this sort of clunk clunk from the darkness ahead of you.
Did we hear that up above?
You did.
I take it it's louder, like we're closer to it.
Yes.
Yeah, because up top we couldn't really like pinpoint where it was coming from, right? It was kind of like pervasive.
Yes. It is
Here it's straight ahead of us.
much more pronounced ahead of you, but still it seems to just kind of be everywhere, and it's loud, just clunk sound. It's almost like something about the shaft was kind of serving as a speaker and projecting the sound above, but it's close, whatever it is.
Can't lean forward. Don't worry, Bartleby, you got this.
Bartleby will continue to creep on.
You creep on. What are the rest of you guys doing? You kind of Bartleby moves forward. I'm assuming you got the shield up, and you have your torch in one hand. What are you doing for a weapon?
I'm using the torch and the shield. That's what I got.
Okay.
So I think the torch would probably be. Are torches improvised weapons?
They could be, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yep.
So you kind of step up between those pillars, and the first thing that you notice, the kind of shadows are moving, but they're moving and swaying with your stone. There's a sudden counterpoint in that shadow coming from over here that sort of just pushes the shadow on the floor forward as this hulking mass. Bartleby, you step up and you're kind of looking around, and you're watching the shadows kind of play, and then suddenly there's just an unseemly move in the shadow, and this thing sort of lurches forward. Again, 6.5, just shy of 7 feet tall, fairly well muscled, and looking straight at you, it says, "It seems like there's nothing down here. It's safe." And it starts kind of lurching forward. It drags from its right hand this massive bone, right? It's attached like a bone hammer that's part of its right limb. And in the other one, it has one of those rusty, kind of gnarly warp blades or whatever the fuck it was. What do you do?
Bartleby's just going to toss that torch 5 feet ahead of him. Just to underhand it so it's down on the ground.
Okay.
To light him up and get ready for a fight.
Nice. So you basically throw that at his feet. The torch kind of skitters there, and the rest of you, of course, as Bartleby does this, you hear this thing's voice, and you see the light shining up from beneath it, the sort of flickering of this muted torchlight, as this hulking demon creature stands there. Of course, Corbin and Grimwald, you are right there. What are you going to do?
Attack it.
I just attack demons.
Like it.
I'll whip out my dagger in preparation, but it doesn't look like there's enough room to maneuver here.
No, it's going to be very difficult, actually, to engage. So you're going to have to kind of move and move into position. But so Bartleby, we're going to give you first action this round. So the rest of you guys are just kind of noticing what's going on. So the two of you and it, will act once before the rest of the team is engaged. So you toss your torch to the ground. This thing basically bristles and it stares at you and just lurches forward and engages you right there next to the pillar. Okay, that's... Well.
Yay.
So this thing kind of lurches forward with its large kind of hammer-like bone mass and slashes forward at Bartleby, but because of his position, it smashes into the pillar, cracking a large amount of this sort of plaster that's on the outside loose from the pillar, and managing to oops itself. I'll let you, Jim, do the oops result for the bad guy, since it was offending you.
Nope. There we go.
Yes. So fierce as this thing strike that the bone, part of the bone from its sort of bone mallet that it has attached to its arm, just kind of shatters as it cracks the plaster, and it howls out in agony and defeat.
All right. So I will oppose a hand axe.
And I think, yeah, you're going to be up front, and so you rolled a 31. It will oppose your attack with its blade, though. Yikes. That's bad. So as it basically proceeds to oppose your attack. So on a critical success opposing an attack, you cause a critical wound. So I will allow you, Bartleby, to roll for your critical wound, please, because I don't want to do it.
Yeah, you do.
I don't want to do it because when I do it, it's not good. It's just not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What is it? Crit left arm?
Yes.
Waiting for the API.
I know, right? It's feeling about like I am right now. It has a coronavirus.
I don't think it worked.
API crash. There it goes.
Do it low tech. 97.
97 on the left arm. Yeah, that's gonna be probably. It's fucking. Is it left arm?
Yep. Which is Bartleby's main arm. Bartleby's left-handed, because so am I.
So you basically are coming in at this thing, and just out of nowhere it responds, slicing through tendons. So your tendons are cut by the blow, leaving your arm hanging useless. Amputation, which is sort of a very hard. So you're actually gonna, you're gonna have to resist that. You're gonna gain 3 bleeding, 1 prone, and 1 stunned condition. So effectively, you'll continue to take damage from the bleeding until someone helps you. You will be prone until you are able to kind of get rid of that condition, and are stunned as this thing kind of just slashes. So give me a -20 endurance test, please. So this is to stay conscious from the viciousness of the wound.
I would advise burning I think it's a resolve here.
Yes, you may do that.
I would do that too. Like this is not good.
Just to ignore what?
The critical effect.
Yes.
Like in all.
Yes.
Yeah, bye.
It is.
He's like,
Yeah, it seems like a good
I'm not
idea.
doing all that math. Fuck that shit. All right, it is a resolve. Oh, guess who has 0 resolve? That's me. I'm taking it.
It's resilience.
It's resilience is the point.
so
you
there's
burned.
resolve and resilience is the bigger one, yeah.
So,
So you can ignore mods from critical wounds, or remove a condition.
so I will ignore.
Resilience is I deny you, so basically you can choose not to develop a rolled mutation, which is 1 for resilience, and the other one is I will not fail, which is basically rather than roll the result of a test, you get to choose a number instead. Here,
If you spent the defy you could get an 11, and you would have 1 point higher in success, which means this would be none and void. Like you would have won that roll off. Even you both would have had criticals if you take an 11.
Okay.
yeah. So you
can
could
I
use
do
that
that?
for the opposed test, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I will use that and beat the opposed test.
By 1 point, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah,
1 point.
you always win by at least 1 success level.
So as suddenly the camera follows all the way through Bartleby potentially losing his arm, there's this moment of flashback where everything changes because of this fantastic use of resilience.
Quick load.
Exactly, where you beat the opposed test and you come in, and actually that would mean that you would hit him and do damage. Because it's going to be 1 success level, right?
Yes. Yeah,
So
I
that'd
will not
be-
fail lets you win an opposed test by at least 1 success level.
Yep.
So that'd be 8 damage. Or sorry, 9 damage. Sorry, no, 8 damage.
Arm. So you basically come in after all of that fantastic hullabaloo, and you slice him. He soaks up a lot of the damage, but you do in fact kind of cause him to stagger back a little bit, which actually bumps your confidence, and it howls out with this awful sort of deep. Up next, I think initiative rolls over. Grimwald. You see this happen. You don't see this sort of hallucinatory thing that Bartleby just lived through. But what do you do? So you see him just kind of nail this thing, and it bounces off the column, howls out in pain. What do you do?
Yeah, when he dropped his weapon after hitting the column or whatever, I try to engage it and move around so we're kind of on opposite sides and get out of the way of the people behind me.
Okay. So you sort
And
of kind
attack
of
it.
scoot through. That's going to give you 2 against 1. So take that. And Bartleby also, you'll have advantage next round because you won that one. So
Yeah,
don't
it's
forget
advantage
that.
and 2 against 1, so it's
Mhm.
plus 40. Yep.
Yep.
So that's plus 20 for me.
Yep. And he actually is going to have, because you have a fast weapon, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
it's
he's
at
going to.
minus 10 for him.
Mm-hmm. So he's
Defending.
having a harder time defending himself because you guys are all jerks.
I did better than him.
You absolutely did. So you managed to succeed, but at the end of the day, there's really no, kind of the damage reduction there is significant enough. So Grimwald, you kind of step in, you move it off to the side, and you've got kind of an angle at its back, and you stab in and just kind of catch a sort of a bit of armor, do a minor amount of damage, but it's still up. It doesn't even seem to notice that you're there. Oswald, what are you doing?
I think Oswald is preparing to get around. Like he's gonna delay his turn so I can get around Geshwin, I think. No, not Geshwin. Yeah, Geshwin.
Okay, so you kind of are there and poised and ready to attack. So then that would be Bartleby. What are you doing?
Bartleby is just gonna pull back with his hand axe and keep chopping away.
Give it a roll. So you've got your advantage plus your 2-on-1.
Yep.
That flows. So it actually You tie.
It's a tie.
Push.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you basically kind of clatter your weapons together. It's kind of coming in with its blade, and you're coming in with yours, and you basically reach a stalemate as the blades kind of clang off of each other. Mr. Corbin, you're next. So you're there and poised. You see Bartleby, you're behind him, and he's just wailing at this thing and kind of parrying with this tall, demonic monstrosity. What do you do?
Is there room? My initial thought was probably to scoot around the pillar because when this all started, Geshwin was in the way for me to go the other direction. Is there room to scoot around the pillar?
You can scoot in between as long as you're not being sort of threatened, as small as you are. Absolutely. You can move either over into this spot over here between basically Geshwind and the creature, or you can move into the corner. Either way. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I was thinking moving into the corner like so.
Okay. So
And then since the creature's focused on Geshwin, maybe sort of come at it from an unexpected direction.
So you kind of creep around the corner and you kind of take a quick peek and you see this thing's bristling muscles and it's, kind of got some snotty stuff drooling out of it from where one of the two of your friends has injured it. And you spring out and attack it. Give me a roll. So you are now 3-on-1. Is that plus 40?
Yep.
Is that what that does?
Nice.
Can it phone a friend? Is there a phone a friend rule?
Julius Caesar, this.
Just
six
Combat
success level.
Plus 6 success. Yeah.
Just wait till you see what. So, tell me, young Corbin, what happens as you step around? What does that look like for the camera that's kind of panning out as you peek out from behind the pillar?
Well, I kind of peek out from around the pillar and slip in under its arms and stab it in the gut. Probably not very deep because, the whole pus oozing thing is freaking me out a little bit, but nonetheless, I want to do my bit to help out.
You step around aiming for its gut, but you're short, and you'll notice that your hit location is the right leg. So sadly, you don't quite get it in the body.
Oh, you're right. I didn't look at that. Sorry.
Yes, but
But I'm short, so that makes sense.
Best of intentions. You come in and you kind of stab it right through the thigh, and literally kind of just it sort of recoils, and it just lets out this horrific scream, justifying the plus 40 that next one of you will have. Geshwin, what are you doing?
Sensing the opportune time to strike, considering we're all stabbing at it, I'm going to. Can I make it through to like there?
You absolutely can. Yes.
Okay. And I am not using my shovel because swinging everything like
you
that
still
is
carry your
difficult
shovel?
here. But I'm getting the trusty rapier out and going to try to impale him with nobody on the other side of him. So I'm trying to be as safe as possible.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's plus 40.
And he's minus 10 for your rapier. Oh, my God. So you come in with your rapier unskilled, which means actually that technically I shouldn't have taken the penalty, just so you know. So if you don't have the skill with the rapier or anything, you don't gain the qualities of the weapon, but you do gain the flaws. Gotcha. But anyway, so you still would have succeeded by a long shot. So you kind of come in and actually slash this thing across the body, and you are going to cause, thanks to stacking wounds, a critical wound. So you will go ahead. Now, based on input from the chat, I'm going to use the same body site because it is a pain in the ass. The rules suggest you have to roll separately, and there's math that suggests why you should do that. But go ahead and give me a critical wound roll, please, Geshwin, for the body.
And that is just crit.
Yes,
body?
It should be crit body. Right? All one word, no space. With a... There you go. What? So you sort of come in and, pulling your rapier, you just kind of raise it up and slash. You're not really, familiar with the swashbuckling techniques.
Yeah, not as safe as I thought.
But this makes me... So as he takes the additional 5 wounds, he's actually going to have to make a check to see if he can stay around in this realm here. And
wow, that's
yes,
what, like 19 wounds.
Yes. There we go. Eesh. So
I like these rolls.
I think it's funny the boxes keep showing up on my screen and they have no numbers in them for like a second.
This is literally those of you who have suggested we use a different platform will be there. So I'm going to let Geshwin tell us. So what is that like? You kind of slash this thing and you just, right through the shoulder, the collarbone of this awful creature just kind of shatters down into its neck and it crumples down and it's going to disappear. What does that look like cinematically in your mind?
Really, the shadows dancing everywhere. I'm going in with all intents of like, okay, I'm going to be careful about this. There's everybody around. But then as I get into the moment, it's kind of like tunnel vision type situation, just starts slashing. I just imagine it I'm not skilled with the blade yet, and it just kind of sticks in there. It starts crumpling down, falling towards me. I'm more panic mode at this point and just trying to pull it out and back up quickly as it falls down to his knees.
And we'll assume like to Oswald, who's far enough, a couple steps back, that it looks way cooler than that. But what you just described as reality is like this thing just sort of, and thanks to you guys ganging up on it, it just starts to sort of disintegrate. As you do that, though, as it does hit the ground, there's this sort of like a shift in the building. It's as if something stops whatever it was doing wherever it is and notices your presence for the first time. It's silent except for the of your torches.
Not all the noise would have let it know, but...
What do you do?
Nice one, Gashwin.
I try to act kind of cool and play it off like, oh yeah. Just still kind of surprised what happened. Like, hey, this is better than a shovel.
You've been carrying a rapier around all this time, and I love that you do most of your fighting with a shovel. That is amazing.
Equally skilled in both forms, which is not much.
What do you guys do? It's quiet for a moment. Somebody's drawing the dissolving snot all over the ground. Is that what that is? Thank you, Rivers.
Honestly, at this point, I'm kind of snapping to coming out of this brief foray of combat and kind of check behind me and in front in these kind of alcoves of thinking, oh, there could be more of them. That's probably a good chance.
Bartleby will make his way over and pick up his torch.
You snap up your torch, which has almost burned itself out from having set flat on against the stone. And as you kind of raise it up again in this alcove, along these walls, there's artwork. And the artwork, interestingly enough, so remember that the thing that these creatures have in common is that somewhere on all of their heads is an unseemly horn, usually just one, kind of crooked in many cases, coming out of the side or the side of the face. But the thing that's nuts about this is there are these little stick figures in this artwork, Bartleby, which, even an illiterate Bartleby can identify with a good stick figure. And they're in a circle, and standing in the midst of them is this other larger figure with this odd horn. It's like the pictorials in each of these, as you kind of look, even in the distance, it's like similar things between these alcoves.
I hope that's not in here.
I hope that's not the bell that we keep hearing. Well, should we keep moving on?
Only one way to find out.
Capitalize on this progress?
Bartleby will continue to forge ahead.
So as you
check the alcove carefully before stepping out. Waiting for Bartleby to take up the lead again.
This alcove?
Jason, did you get my message about IGN messaged you just like a couple seconds ago?
And that was I assume that's what you were doing when things were ramping up at first, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially during the fight, he would have turned to do that if he saw it was taken care of.
Okay. So You're Corbin, as we wait for Geshwin to return from Geshwin land. You said that you carefully look through the alcove. You're stepping kind of just really looking over your shoulder, right? Because you stepped out and kind of, made your blow against this creature.
Yeah, but before I come out of this little space here, I don't want to step all the way out into the front of the alcove if there's something in it, kind of thing. Just like cautiously, hey, what's over there?
Give me a perception check. Let's see what you see.
Normal?
Yes.
No modifier?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not very perceptive, apparently, in the dark.
Well, you don't really notice anything that's particularly telling in terms of the alcove itself, but there's one thing that is very hard to miss, just kind of because you mentioned that you really kind of pay attention to what's going on in there. There's a little strip of cloth or two and a small bit of rope, very small, right? Like in a very small piece of like a bundle of cloth, something like you might, use to wipe glasses with, maybe a little bigger. And it's actually kind of lying on the ground about the second square in, right about here, as you look around.
I think somebody else has been down here. Kind of point to it.
The halfling calls out to you guys.
The corpse is outside.
If you recall, there was a group that had come through before that near that lady on the pyre, I guess you could call it. It may be that we're following in their steps, the ones that stole these, and Oswald kind of like lifts the bag of like clanging pottery and dust, and then kind of like in the direction, kind of lifts it in the direction of the other one, which is, I assume, on Bartleby's back.
I think that's right. Yeah, Bartleby had the broken bits of.
No, I had the broken bits. He had the fully.
The intact stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. What do you do? Geshwin has returned. Back in his body. It's his spiritual piss break that he took.
What's happened?
I don't know.
I didn't get choked this time, at least.
No, that's true. Or smashed in the mirror or whatever. What do you do?
I'm following in behind Grimwald and Bartleby.
Kind of take
Strategy worked last time.
Yeah, I like to think Oswald's pretty messed up at this point because he's on 1 health, and he's probably bleeding from various places. He looks pretty haggard. Half his face is singed away, like half the hair is gone. He's got like half the toga that's missing, and he's looking rough. But he's definitely trying to place himself in the middle or in the back, probably in the middle if he can help it.
Like recognizing that he's not on top of his game.
Oh yeah, this is why he's walking with the axe as like a sort of like a cane almost. He's got a short sword because we picked that up in the bag, but he can't wield it because he's putting one hand on that, holding the bag in the other, and just kind of moving forward. And maybe it's now you guys start to see that it's probably starting to take more of an effect on him, because he's getting exhausted.
I'm gonna wait to file in behind Geshwin then, avoiding the area where the thing was at.
So as you press forward, Bartleby and Grimwald, so give me a perception checks, please, individually. What's your approach look like? Are you just kind of moving steadily? Are you moving very slow?
Whatever pace Bartleby sets.
Yeah, Bartleby's moving very slow.
Okay.
It's probably likely that Bartleby has some experience on the wharf with smugglers' tunnels, so he's being extra cautious because he knows that there's traps in here. Don't tell me otherwise.
Any modifier?
No, straight. Whoa. All right. What
Let's
happened
do
there?
that.
Yes.
So
What?
37 out of 44.
So Bartleby, you notice first and foremost, as Grimwald's stepping forward, and you're thinking, haha, don't tell me there's traps here. Right about at the point where you've gotten here, Grimwald is lifting his foot to step, and there is a depressed area in the floor right in front of his foot where he's about to put it. And for whatever reason, it doesn't seem as if he fully gets that it's there. Grimwald, you're looking at a hole that is in this pillar. Can you see my ping there? Hello, Roll20. Okay, see it? Good. So it's in that pillar. So you're kind of focused on that, about to step on something. Bartleby, what do you do?
Bartleby is going to like shove his arm out with the shield and try to stop Grimwald from taking the step forward.
Grimwald, you get a shield pretty much to the face, right? As he's like, wait, and you kind of hold this out, blam, kind of knocks you off your balance there, because you were looking at this other pillar closest to Bartleby. You shudder backwards. What do you do?
What was that for?
Bartleby will just look and just point down and lower the torch.
It might have something to do with the hole in the pillar then. If that's what I think it is.
Cool.
So you, Bartleby, realizing that you missed the hole in the pillar, you see the depressed area, you hold your torch down, and it kind of reveals it sort of cinematically, right? You glance over and like, oh shit. And there is in fact a hole that is basically dropped open in the pillar, and it appears as if whatever its payload was exhausted. You also notice a little fleck of blood there on the ground, as if whoever came before might not have been so lucky and so intelligent as to avoid it. It's very dry. It's brown.
Okay.
Powdery. In the distance ahead.
Well, thanks for looking out for me there. I'll keep a better eye out.
There's probably more ahead.
Literally, as you say that, there's probably more ahead. You can sort of hear this several sources of like similar noises to what you've heard from these things as they approached. And it doesn't seem as if hang on. It's stuck loading.
We hear
Roll20
lumbering
support.
noises coming towards us.
Yes, so
Continue next time.
it wasn't lumbering noises. So what you hear, picture the sound, this kind of voluminous growing sound of a parade of these things, just as this bell, like something striking it over and over, much harder than before, much more rapidly. Something is calling its children. And well, we're going to switch to second edition and Fantasy Grounds before next time.